Okay, so this is Nuke environment, nice and neat. So first thing first we do, I recorded on 5D Mark II. I record the scene that I just did. So I have to set up my project. Just press S in the environment, and that's where you set up your project. So let's say frame range, just set it to like a frame range that your shot might be. That could change. Okay, so at the moment I just say 500 for now, just in case. It's 24 frames per second. That's what I suppose everybody is recording. That's the frame format, the frame per second, frame rate. The size is HD. So that's the important thing that we set at the beginning. The other thing is the color management system. If for you it's not Nuke default, set it to Nuke default. Many of you might. Okay, so we were planning to use ACES for this semester, but we dropped the idea because we didn't want to bring another layer of complexity. That's the latest color management system out there, designed by Academy of Arts, the same institution that they award Oscar. So they designed a color system that everybody uses. So that's so it's called Academy Color Encoding System. That's ACES mean. But hopefully next year we talk about it. So but just make sure it's Nuke default. Everything is RGB, sRGB. That's it. So you're good to go. So you can close that if you're set. Okay. So I press R, stands for reading. So how I loaded that one, I pressed S on keyboard again. Project settings, but settings, S stands for settings. Once you're done, you can press R for, that stands for reading. Or just simply drag and drop from the folder. So it's on desktop, I can drag and drop it into my scene. So if it's an image sequence, you can load it like this way. Or just, I'm gonna go find it. Users, user, desktop. And Nuke project, and that's where my footage is. Okay, so I cannot see it because everything that has to be seen should be connected to this viewer. You can have multiple viewers, but at the moment we just keep it as just one viewer that looks at your notes. So I just drag and drop, I look at this one. So that's amazing acting of Paul. So if you so you see that the attributes, how many, so it's 155 frames. So maybe I set my project back to so I click outside, press S, or I just wanted to set it to 150 frames. Or you can say here you can say, okay, don't show me the global timeline, but the input. So the input starts from 1 to 150. Okay? Simple. It says it's 1080p. The frame range, you can limit that if you don't want to use the whole frame range. If you export out of, so if you are working on DaVinci Resolve and you want to export out one shot to be to send it to Nuke, export it as EXR sequence. Okay, EXR sequence is the best format to deliver all the information out of all uncompressed information out of Resolve into Nuke. Okay, So first thing first, most of the people do, just press G on your keyboard and it stands for grading. Or here, press tab and type grade. It's again like pretty much like Houdini. You press tab, you search for the node that you're looking for. So grading, I just wanted to make it brighter, so I crank up a little bit of gamma, and I want the and I click on this little color circle. So there's a lot of yellow in it. I'm gonna escape from yellow towards blue slightly to make it slightly whitish. So if you want to see what it looks like without this node applied, just deactivate that. Deactivation starts with D, so press D on your keyboard. It deactivates your node. Okay, so okay, that's a nice grading, but I want to make another grading that I will use for tracking. Okay, so I press tab and I press color, so you can find this color correct node. Just add it to the scene, connect it to your movie, select that one and press 2 on keyboard this time. So you see that 1 is your proper grading, 2 is the one that I'm gonna increase the contrast, make it brighter, and increase the contrast stupidly, and I'm gonna make it very constant. So definitely this is not a proper look, okay, for me to look at, but it's great for the tracker. Why? Because look at this point here. So without, there's a lot around it. With, it's just this point. So tracker is dealing with much sharper nodes. Actually, I can increase sharpness. Sharpen. I can sharpen that as well and increase sharpness. So what I did, I just, while this was selected, I pressed tab and typed sharpen, added sharpen node and increase the size. So you can select both these nodes and press D. So without, with. So this is a much sharper, much contrasty shot. So I hope the tracker would deal with that better. So one important thing, as you see, I made sure that I see a bit of parallax. There would be objects close to the camera and further back. So I don't point the camera to the blank flat wall. So I have objects in the scene that can be tracked using using tracker. So, and there's like a depth between, and there's a distance between these objects in the scene. So you just search for camera tracker, press tab, camera tracker. It should be added to the, so just simply to this here. Okay. So camera tracker, here you see that it says, do you have a mask? So when do you create a mask? If somebody is moving. So let's say I'm gonna mask out Paul. He's moving, so I don't want him to be tracked by the tracker, okay? Everybody's here at the moment. Anybody lost? Let me know. Okay, so Roto node that creates mask for me is called simply Roto, or press O on keyboard. O. And a Roto node is added. Okay, so you can, I'm gonna start from the middle because I see here most of his body. So I'm gonna click, click, drag, click, drag, click, drag around pole, click and click. Okay, the less the better. So the moment I do that, you see that, so this Roto node is just hovering around, but because the attributes, the parameters and properties of this node is visible here, I can see it working on the scene as well. So you can close that, and you see that the attributes are gone, but you double click on that. If you want to close all the attributes, it happens sometimes that you have opened multiple nodes attributes and it's just too busy. Hold Alt and click and close all the properties. Just double click on Roto, make sure that one is open. You can press spacebar to just bring it to your attention. What I usually do, I hold this viewer and drag it to the next monitor. But because I'm recording it, I just keep it in one monitor. But when you want to work out, you can just click on this viewer and drag it to the next monitor. Press H to frame it to your shot. Okay, so now you can scroll out just, okay, select all these nodes and move it with pole. You know, everybody knows what Roto means, so just do a bit of dirty Roto out there. Okay, he's out here. So, and a couple of other. Fine. You can play, so just play around with your Roto node. It's pretty much a Bezier node that everybody is familiar with in every other software. So just make yourself familiar with it. It's pretty comfortable. Okay. Don't need to be super accurate because I've got plenty of other things to be tracked. Okay. Once you're happy, let's say you're happy with what you've done, okay? Press press space bar to go back to multi-window view. So this camera tracker, you see that when you zoom in, so there's source which is connected, and there's a little triangle hovering, you know, staying over there alone. So you can say that, grab that triangle, and when you push it out, it says mask, and connect it to your mask. So this node is dealing with a source, which is this video, which is color corrected, and a mask. So when I double click on camera tracker, you see that the mask is connected, but it says none. How stupid you are. It's not none. It's, you have to go and find mask alpha, and that alpha is what is supposed to be used for tracking. But if I press tracking, I think it starts tracking inside that mask. Oh no, outside, which is fine. I thought you can press track and start tracking. Let me cancel that. I was thinking that it might need, if you see that, okay, so this is what sometimes happens. You start tracking and only within the mask starts to get tracked. Then just reverse it. So you see that it has mask alpha or mask inverted alpha. Okay, before start tracking, if you know focal length, say I know it focal length because I looked at it. So when I was recording, I was sure that this is 24 millimeter lens. So I know it. So I can say that I know it and it's 24 millimeter. So that's why you are hired on set. One of the things that you keep recording for the visual effects shot is the focal length. So I was aware of that. If you don't know it, leave it as unknown, constant. What is your film back preset? As many of you do, you just search for sensor size. So this is 5D Mark II sensor size, which will be your film back. So it's 36 by 24, which is already set. So that's the full frame size. Or there's plenty of other options. If you're using ARRI camera, there's some or you got production. So this like Blackmagic 4K something, you know. There's a lot of options here. Okay, you're ready. You start tracking. It will ask me to if I'm gonna remove the trackers because I already have started. But for you, oh, it didn't. Anyway, start tracking again. So you see that it starts holding on the corner of your stuff in the scene. You can increase the accuracy of your auto tracker here. You can say that in the setting. So you see that the number of features is 150. If it would be a very detailed shot, so like some of you have filmed in bush, so increase the number of features. So like add like 300, 400, because there's plenty of details that needs to be tracked. So it's a nice tracker. It tracks it forward, and you see that it tracks it backward again. So just to make sure that it's 100% accurate. It's one of my favorite trackers actually. I even used, not just me, many visual effects artists, they use it for as a legitimate tracking application for tracking shots. Sometimes, you know, they prefer this over PF track or synth eyes. Well, of course, over there you are dedicated on tracking, but here sometimes you just say, oh, this is a simple shot. I just do it in Nuke. So once you're ready, in the first tab, you see that you can solve it. After tracking, you can review your shot. Seems alright. None of them are kind of, so let's say, look at this one. None of them are kind of getting missed. So it just holds on it for a long time, which is nice. Just solve it now, and it's ready to create a new scene out of that. So before going forward, I save it. I don't want to get fired. I save it in my project folder and I call it here, instead of star type, let's say, I don't know, shot blah blah. I'm gonna say sample project, sample Nuke project version 1. If you want to save it as a new version, you can save here and say save new comp version, Alt Shift S. Why? You idiot. Oh. I'm gonna save it again. It's called sample project. So Alt Shift S. Come on. Alt Shift S, not Control Shift S. Alt Shift S. Oh, I don't know why, but anyway, I do it manually. It adds versioning to it. Oh, there we are. Okay. So I should have added the first version. So look at, see, it's sample project version 2. Alt Shift S version 3. Alt Shift S version. So when you want to just save it, press Ctrl S. When you want to move to the next version, just Alt Shift S or file save new comp version. Anyway, so I'm ready. So the tracking is done. I'm ready to create the scene, the 3D scene. You have an actual 3D scene inside Nuke. You got like timeline as well. Just if you click on this top sheet, you see that you've got like your whatever is here. If you double click on your footage, you see that your footage is loaded here. Whatever is there, you see a timeline of it in the doc sheet. If it is an animated thing like this Roto, open the Roto, hold Control, and click on this close. Everything else gets closed. Okay? In Curve Editor, you see that should be able to see the animation curve here. Anyway, so if you animate something, you see the animation curve here. If I transform, I would be, I don't know why it didn't show, but if I add the transform node and animate that, you will see it over there. And then you use it as like pretty much like Maya graph editor. Anyway, so if you're ready, just go here, double click on your camera tracker. If you don't see the parameters, you can just create the camera, or this is what I usually do. I create the whole scene and delete whatever I don't need. So go and select the scene plus. It means like it adds lots of things in your scene. And press create. So what is added? A lens distortion node is added, which we don't use. Anyway, there's a camera track cloud point is added. Hover over your view. So move your mouse cursor here and press tab. You move into the 3D environment and hold Alt, click, middle click, and right click to navigate. It's some sort of like Maya, but not pretty much like Maya. And then you've got your camera. If you double click on your camera, this is your camera. And there's the scene. This scene is what everything goes to. But how this scene gets rendered back into 2D environment is this scanline renderer. So it's basically, it is a 3D scene that has a camera, has some tracking points, has an environment, and it gets rendered. If you want to see that one, scanline rendered, press 2. and here press tab again. So that's the result of it. So that's why if you are happy with this grade, so I'm gonna say that actually I'm not gonna use the lens distortion for now. I just select it and deactivate it, and I would like to use this source instead. This source instead. Yeah, that's where, so that's where the background comes in. So the background for the renderer, I like to be this with the proper colors, not that one with the saturated color. So you can move both of those connections to that one. Anyway, I've got my camera here. I'm gonna export it and send it to Maya. So I'm gonna send this camera into Maya and start doing some animation. Okay, so this is what I do. Here I press tab and type right GO. So right, the if you press W, this right is for rendering, but this right GO is for exporting out 3D scenes out of Nuke. Just connect this right GO to your scene and export it out, as simple as that. So you just click on the file, find the where you want to save it. I'm gonna save it to the desktop. Oh, not here. Where are you? Okay, here, Nuke project. Here I'm gonna save it here, and I call it tracked camera .fpx. Nuke is pretty much like Houdini. You have to define the format by yourself. Okay, .fpx tells, okay, I'm gonna use FPX format. It usually uses the latest version, the latest reliable version. There are latest, after that there are more versions, but 2016 was the most reliable one. So once you're happy with the naming and the address, just press execute. It says you want to render out the whole, you want to export out the whole frame range. Yeah, I'm going to export out the whole frame range. And import it into Maya. So what you can do here, you can export this footage, the graded one. Here I press as for the back plates in Maya. So when I open the camera, I don't see the back plates here in Maya. I'm gonna import it, file, import. Well, actually it takes Maya to load. Okay, file, import, desktop, Nuke project, tracked camera. Ooh. Is FBX loaded? FBX. Yes, loaded. Okay, yeah. So I should have waited until Maya load. So it loads the camera with lots of locators. I can select all my locators, group them, hide them. So that's your camera that moves around. then I want this camera to have an image plane actually. So I go back to Nuke and export a, so I press right here or press simply W. But I'm gonna export this out of Nuke. I'm gonna export just the background, okay? So again, I press W, added this node, pointed that to my background, or even you can just simply export the background, or just whatever you want. And here I type, I make a folder inside here actually. I call it proxy sequence. And so this is the naming in in Nuke. So I press dot and I press and then the padding begins. In Houdini you press $, you type this like that, $F4, which is padding 4 times. Here just simply is hashtag 1 2 3 4. So like it's 0001. So that's the padding. And then I press type and type JPEG. Okay, name dot padding dot extension. Save it, and you see that it asks the quality. So the moment if you select EXR, this area changes. So let's say, you see, I say EXR here, different things shows up. So it's kind of like smart based on the extension that you select. I press JPEG again. Based on the extension that you select, different attributes shows up. I don't want this to be high quality. It doesn't matter for me, so I can go like make it like half quality. Okay. So let me render that out. So for those of you just struggling with exporting, you know, just a quick proxy, instead of After Effects, Nuke would do the job as well for you, much better and much faster. It's a very fast application in image processing. So your image sequence is ready. If I look through the camera here, I don't see anything, but I can go view image plane. So let me open the gate. So like this gate first, click on that, view image plane, import image, and point to that address, proxy sequence, select the first frame. So you see that starts from frame, frame 1. I select the frames 1, open it, press Ctrl A to load attribute editor, and say that this is going to be an image sequence. So it means that when I move around, I see everything showing it. So the image plane is loaded. Okay. Okay. So the second step, I'm gonna make these locators smaller. I select all of them, not the group, but each individual one of them. Scale them down. Just see if they have been able to track the wall. It seems so. So if I add a wall here, it seems that the wall is over there. So if I select the camera, break the scaling, if you don't like the size of the camera, just the size of the camera doesn't matter at all. Select the attributes and break the connection over here. Then you can scale it up and down the way you like. So it seems that the camera is looking at, it was on my hand, So this start to look more natural now to me. So it was on my hand, and I was looking at that wall. So let's see. Let's bring objects in and position those objects and see if around these like locators, and see how it works. So let's say, oh, so that's the corner of a table. So let me attach that to the corner of this sphere, rotate it. Maybe I just bring it here. I press 4. So I align this box with that table. Oh, that works well. You can see? Okay. What about wall? If I duplicate that one, so that one is the corner of the table. So this should be wall over here. I'll look through the camera. So make it. So let's say this is gonna be my wall. I can actually align it with this area over here. Okay. Fairly okay, isn't it? I'm not happy about this curvature here. That's lens distortion, because I was using the widest focal length, so I could have undistorted using this node, make it flat, make it like undistorted, but that's another topic to discuss. But for now, I just want to save this as Maya scene here. Okay. So I'm gonna find a right wall. So this is definitely not a good distance. So it should be either further back like that. But why doesn't I reset my tool? I don't know why this is locked. No idea. Just do it again. So I hold D and then V, snap to the edge of it, snap the edge to here, rotate it, scale it down. Okay, that's why. Oh, what is happening? I don't know, after snapping it just like doesn't like deformation. Anyway, so what I'm doing at the moment, I try to find that wall, a proxy wall that stands there and it holds, so like it stays there and stays there until, so like when the camera moves, so it should, like, you see that the wall is just kind of wobbling. I don't want that. So I want this to be, so that's why I have to find the right distance to the camera. It has to be either further back. So if I go very back, so you see that it's, so it's gonna be maybe, or further forward. Maybe, my guess is somewhere around here should be the right spot. Maybe I should do a bit of rotation as well. But not too much, just a bit. Okay. That kind of holds up all through. Kind of. But that's okay. So I can okay, that's gonna be the wall. Okay, just imagine that. So I simply want to a little okay, this is your scene. If it is too tiny, everything too tiny, select everything, group them all, group everything and call it scene and scale it up. So if you need like word size scaling, you see everything works as it was. Okay, I'm gonna hide these ones. I'm gonna hide this box in the front. That's gonna be table. Okay. So this is where the, let's say, the alien thing shows up. Let's animate just a simple sphere. Okay, I'm gonna create a simple sphere, but you know what, this is not my favorite topology for a sphere. Let me tell you something honest. So like this sphere topology doesn't look so interesting to me all the time. So that's why I usually use, instead of this, I usually use a box, and then I smooth it. So you see that it turns into like kind of a sphere like. Then I press 3. Then I smooth it again. So let me just go back to selection, smooth it again, and maybe 2 times, and that's my favorite sphere. Look how nice is the topology. And you will see here why I'm gonna use a topology, because I want this sphere. So let's animate that sphere. So I'm gonna, let's say this is the right size. So this sphere is what shows up above Paul's head, is that one. Somewhere around here. Yeah, just like comes out of the wall. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this one. I call it alien thing. some animated. So let's say add frame. Here at this frame, I want this to be like coming out like that much. Yeah, maybe that. Okay, I keyframe it, and then here I go back, I keyframe it. So that's the animation. I want that to ease out. As everybody knows, you go to the graph editor and make sure you ease out. Actually, I don't want to animate the scaling. Oh no. The scaling and visibility, so I can break the connection so don't see them. And there's an ease out on them already, but I can intensify that by just making that flat tangents on there. Okay. So one cool thing is I'm gonna play around with, oh, that's too slow. Maybe I just move this keyframes. So pull here something, so the portal opens here, and then suddenly this shows up. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add a bit of jiggling in it. So many of you are dealing with jiggling. So one way of adding it is the mash jiggle. Have you tried that? So just add it and that's it. And you have a nice jiggle. Then it's just like, can you see the wobbling and jiggling? So let me go to the frame 8. So look at that one. You see that movement? So subtle and nice. Okay, just to make it more exciting, I'm gonna add a couple of, I'm gonna scatter a couple of, let's say, I add a cube here. I'm gonna scatter something around the surface of the cube. So Control 1 to isolate everything else. Hold D and snap it to the here. You know that when you hover on the face, you can snap on the face, and then hold X and snap to the grid. And I'm gonna, let's say, I'm gonna select a variety of, create a variety of things. So let's extrude this one. So that's gonna be like the surface. So one thing, one curved thing on the surface. So you can create a variety of elements. So that's one. Duplicate. Actually, this one would look the other side. One of them would be small, tiny, but flat. Fingers. So all of them should be right in the middle. At 0, actually at here, and let me have a look at their size relative to the sphere. It's fine, maybe smaller. And I am going to modify and freeze transformation. So all of this transformation goes to 0 and 1. Okay. So now make a mesh network out of them. So let's name them first. Rename all of them. You have a renamer here. If you click here, rename, and when you select multiple things, you can rename them. I don't know, how should I call it? Finger or appendage or thing. So what? Flange. So 0, 1. Okay, flange 0, 1. What is that? I don't know. Huh? Okay. So I learned something today. So then select them all, add them to the mesh network. I'm sure many of you have already used mesh. So the moment you create the mesh network, you see that it starts creating the mesh network. And when I press Ctrl A, it starts with a mesh distribute, which is distributing the first object that is selected, which is, actually I should have smoothed them. I didn't, but that's okay. I smoothed them and then it gets reflected in your mesh network. So at the moment there are just like, you see, you can adjust the distance and everything, and they can be linear, they can be on a grid. You see, again, distance. I just go to the linear for now. So if you, in your mesh network, if you add an ID, you can say I've got multiple objects. So I've got 3 objects, just type ID. So you see that it distributes them one by one. But you might need like randomness on your mesh network, add random. So it's random there now, you see. But the randomness, I want it to be on maybe scaling on Z direction. Now your distribution is on the line, okay? But you can say that my distribution should be on a mesh. So, and then you middle click the alien thing to that input mesh, and then bang, they just get on the surface. But I want much more. So if I go to this distribution and say like I want 100, no, yeah, disgusting. 500. And so we had randomness. So where's the random? So you can, you know, random position, rotation. That's an alien. It's supposed to be gross. Anyway, so an interesting thing is that it carries that wobbling, that jiggle with it. So if it moves, you see.
Oh no.
So let me animate it a bit more actually. So I'm gonna select alien thing over here, and then here slowly hovers down maybe. Oh. So it will be like, whew. Oh, it should weight over there on top. So that's why I hold it for, I copy the keyframe, hold it for a couple of frames, and then, so it's like, and then, oh. So you saw that, like a simple scene in few minutes. So let's start rendering, actually. So I don't want that wall for now, but I will export it into Nuke. You will see why, because I'm gonna use that to project things on the surface of the wall. I would just want to render this creature, so I go use Redshift for that. So let me render that. But you need a, so you remember we created an HDR for this room last semester? It's in your, so just to avoid going through the process of like taking photos, making HDR, so I just keep using that HDR one. Even though it was not the best one, it was made with that Christmas balls that we had last semester. You have the luxury of using like nice and neat, what's that? A Chrome ball this semester. Okay, so I paste it into my project, new project. So let's add a Redshift dome light. The dome light is added. The dome texture is that. HDR. Go to the camera, Redshift render view. And wait. Or press render. That's not my camera view. Or is it? It is. Yeah, it is. Okay. So I don't want the light, the dome light to be visible. So I go to the environment and say that enable background off. I want the creature to have a kind of oil transparent, no, reflective shader on it, like black, very. So then I'm purple. Okay, purple. Then I make a shader, Redshift shader, make it purple as she wants, but a bit dark purple. Reflection high, which is nice. Assign it to the thing and those flanges. Let's try that. Okay, so you see that it has a bit of rooms shading on it. I might want it to be a bit what's that? A subsurface scattering. A bit of subsurface. I go to the that's not the matter. Okay, I go to the subsurface scattering. Increase it. Maybe instead of that, I do multi-layer subsurface scattering. So like layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. At the deepest, it's like kind of greenish, dark greenish. Then it becomes red. Then it reaches to that green, purple on the surface. So then we start. So the weight of the red and the green so I'm gonna increase the radius 3, 5. Why it doesn't show? Yeah, they started to show up something. No, I didn't like that. Maybe. Okay, sampling needs to be cranked up. Or just say that it's 0, but this subsurface. I don't know. Maybe I just keep it down just because we want to render it fast and quick. Just make it not so much glossy. So I increase the roughness slightly. Anyway, purple needs to be dark here. In my oh yeah, that's what I want. Okay, just to render things fast. This thing shows up from this wall. Where was that wall? Was it this? No? Yes? Okay. So that wall, let's call it wall. And at this frame, it's kind of inside the wall. Okay. I just want the wall to cover everywhere, so that's why I extend it. Sorry. Here. I extend it. Okay. And I add a shadow catcher on it. So it will be there, but will be like absolutely black. So this one shows up. So I go to the material. So I'm just gonna save my file. Go to the shaders. And the material so I clean up the shading network. The material I'm making will be redshift surface, and it's called matte shadow catcher. So that matte shadow catcher is supposed to be assigned to this wall. So you can select the wall and then right click on that matte shadow catcher and assign it. Or here, middle click and drag and drop it on a scene, not in wireframe mode, but in just shaded. So you see that it's just like, now it's, you see, it's black and it just comes out of the black. But if I go to the the alpha channel, you see that the shadow is there. The shadow is working nice and neat. Okay, rendering time. I'm ready to render. My creature is there. Everything is ready. I should cache my mesh first don't forget, if you use dynamics, caching is always important. So here you see that, where is the caching? Create mesh, no, where's the caching? Let's go to the FX mesh. I forgot that. Oh, cache mesh network. Yeah, that's it. Select your network, create the caching, starting at frame. Actually, it starts at frame 80, finishes at frame 155. Because before that, it's not important. It's behind the wall. So, and why it keeps adding ranges. Anyway, I just cache, but where it does, it just saves in your project. So it asks, where should I create this cache? So you can point it to your project folder and call it like mesh cache. Here it creates an Alembic file for that cache. So it gets cached on the hard, on your hard drive. So then it's much more much more reliable for rendering. So one thing before rendering, go to the render setting, make sure it's Redshift, sets the rendering. So I'm gonna set your project first. I'm gonna set my project into where the anything over there. I set it here actually, and here I create a folder. I call it, so I right click here and I create scene slash scene. So see, look at there, it says it will go into images, but it will go to the Maya scene folder, and it's called Maya scene. So instead of Maya scene, I might call it alien. So it's alien.iff. Actually, I'm gonna render it as EXR, and it's gonna be animation from frame. What frame it shows up? It shows up at frame 120 actually. From 120 to 155. So I am rendering it from 120 to 155. Padding 4, camera 1. Resolution, very important, HD. Quality, so this is here. You can either bump the unified sampling or do what I usually like to do, and I override samples. So like I'm gonna say, okay, there might be multiple lights in the scene. I oversample all of them to like 256. So all the lights in my scene gets oversampled to that level. You might have multiple reflective materials or multiple subsurfacing materials. So just oversample. So let's say I've got reflections. I say that go and do like crank up, increase the sampling for every material that has reflection on it. So this is much more manageable. I don't think I'm gonna turn the GI on because this creature is hovering, so it's not interacting with a lot of elements in the scene. So no GI is needed. I'm ready. So I go and rendering I go to the render, batch render. So even that few first frame is enough for me to build up my compositing network. That's what I ask you to do now. You don't need to wait to render the whole thing and just start to build up your network. You can start building up now. So I'm gonna do it now. So back to Nuke. For those of you who were following me, I am going to, actually this rendering will finish so soon. But so what I do, for those of on K drive, so on K drive for today, this is new compositing. So I'm using this this HDR. You've already have the footage. If you want to use the Maya track file, it's here. I am so this is, you see that we've rendered up to frame. Why the resolution is so weird? Is it 1080? No, it isn't. So I can import. Let me import one single frame into. It's. I think it's Windows doing that. Yeah, it's all right. So grab this one for now. If you want to follow me, I paste that single frame here. Okay, you can grab that single frame, bring it into Nuke, and start compositing alongside with me until the whole scene gets rendered. Then I copy the whole scene for you. It's frame, yeah, it will get there so soon. Okay, so this is, so let's go back. I don't need this right node. So you see that we tracked the camera. You don't need to delete that. So, but I don't need this anymore because the camera is already tracked. I don't need a contrasty. So the camera is tracked here. It's been exported out into Maya and being used for adding geometries. So I can delete that one as well. So I'm gonna press tab here. So I'm gonna go and press tab at frame 130. So I go click here in the middle and press 130. This is the frame where that single frame can be used. 130. Is that the one that I have copied for you? Yes. Okay. So you see that 130 can be added to your scene. This is what you have on K drive now. So you can grab that one and follow what I do here. So grab that one single frame, import it, or press R and import it, or copy that on your desktop and import it. So I'm gonna add this on top of this. So simple. Merge starts with M. So Nuke, press M. Then you've got a merge node that has A and B. A is the top layer, B is the lower layer. A on top, B on lower layer. And then you can select this and press 2. So it's, the creature is up there with the proper shadow and everything. So what you can do is that you can start color grading everything and apply everything that you need onto that until the render gets ready. So that's what you do in productions. Once you're happy, you don't wait for the whole shot to be rendered. Just render one single frame, give it to the compositing guy, and then you carry on and work. but the compositing network can be started to create. So I wanted to have a bit of glow. So I add, click here and tap glow. Actually, Nuke, glow, and glint are one of the mostly used nodes. So you add a bit of nice and neat glowing, and maybe a bit of glint, which is, oh, it doesn't, oh, the glint doesn't work on it anyway. So the glow is, I added some glow, before, after. But what I want to do, so this creature shows up, it has glow and some purplish like kind of tint on it. I want this purple to cast on the wall. So otherwise there's no point. So maybe you want it to cast all over here and on pole as well. So, but we'll see how. So how to cast it on the wall? Rendering is almost finished. So I already have that wall. So I just need to export it out. Let's export wall. I don't know if this, I'm not 100% sure, but we'll see. Because I scaled everything up. You see, everything has been scaled up. So this might, if I export it, I might not get the same exact result. So what I do, so just, I might duplicate the scene, this one. And this second one, I just make the scaling back to 1. That tiny little thing. Select that wall. Okay, and export it as FBX. Export selection. Call it wall and FBX. Come back to Nuke. I can delete that duplicated version because I just made it. So come back to Nuke. So here type read GO this time instead of write GO. Read GO, go and find that wall as FBX. It's loaded, but it's black because there's no texture assigned to it. But we can, if you attach it to your scene, you will be able to see it. It's there. It's inside, in front of your camera as you expect. If you go back to your scene here, if you look at this scene scan line, it's all black because this is blocking everything. If I create a checker board, which is just a texture, and assign it, you see, oh, that's the checkerboard. So the wall is there. It's right in front of us. So what I do, I usually like to disconnect the 3D part. So the 3D part has its own kind of network, and then it turns into a 2D using this scanline render. So it's a 3D scene, gets rendered, turned into a scanline render. It gets 2D here, and that 2D gets composited. I press M on top of actually not the creature but the wall. You see that? So whatever is inside the Nuke 3D environment is getting rendered onto the background. So let's look at that one. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna load a, let's say, so this result should show me a, so I'm gonna create just a simple, let's say, radial. Okay, what is this simple radial? A radial is, I'm gonna press 3 on it, is a radial thing. But you can say that you can add a reformat node, and that reformat node says I want a 1K square, and this radial node should be on square size. Bring it in the middle of the square, resize it, let's say, and that's a square with alpha channel. So here, if you press A, you see alpha channel. If you press A again, alpha channel is gone. What is alpha channel? A channel that defines transparency of your scene. I'm gonna get it connected to that. So let's go back here and press 2. So it's so big at the moment. You can see it here. The texture is so big. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add a scale. Oh, not S. I'm gonna type scale or transform, actually. A simple transform node, and drop it in the middle and scale this one down. Okay, you see that it's there, but needs to be transformed. I wish I would have added a, so the reason that I've got some problem here is because the UV actually here, I should have done that before, I forgot that. It's not too late because it's procedural. So look at the UV here. The UV is like that, but it's good to make the UV the other way around. I want to project the UV from mapping from Z direction. Actually, I should have done that early on. So, but what I can do, I can just delete everything else. Delete all the, so because we don't need back of the wall, and delete that. You just need that one actually. I delete the history. I go to the UV texture editor, and I say that shift right click or on the object. Shift right, oh come on. Shift right click UV mapping automatic, and just bang, suddenly creates an automatic mapping for the object, which covers all the area, all the surface area. That's what I want actually. Enough. I select that and export and overwrite. So if I overwrite, it gets updated in Nuke. Export selection as FBX wall. Export yes inside Nuke. Go back to the Nuke, and this is your right geo, and reload it, and you see bang, it turns into this, which I don't know if it works. It works. Okay. So that's what I see inside. So what I start to do is that's gonna be 2. That's, so I assign 2 to here. Okay. So let's go 0 by 0. We can go 100. Oh, minus 200 to 200. Okay, and scale it. So I click here and I scale it. Oh, not that much. Like that. Okay, so that's what I get, and I press 1 here. So here you see that I added that light on the surface, that white light actually, and you see it tracks the shot. So now that's so I copied the shot for you. For those of you who are following me, I don't think there's even one, but anyway. But I copied that Maya scene into that your K drive. So that's the alien shot. What you should do is just simply read it back. So just replace this one with the whole sequence, and that's it. So I'm gonna turn this off for now. Let's see. Let's have a look at that without this. So you see that the creature, you see it just shows up, comes out of the wall, woo, and then comes to the pole. Which is cool. Okay, so here is when I want some purple light to show up. You saw that I created the geometry and the radial, so kind of thing on the wall. So the light is over there. Actually, I'm gonna move that up a bit. Was it Y or X? I don't know. You can click and scroll up. So it's here. Scroll up. Up. Yeah. That's too large. So I scroll down the scaling. I wish the center was on the same spot. Anyway, I can scale it down and move. I just use mouse scrolling. If you scroll on like different decimals, it becomes different. So like on ones or tens or hundreds, it works like that way. Okay, so that's fine, I think. So I like to color grade that. So I add a G and I go gamma, and I kind of, I even click on that one. You see that little, if you click on that little box, you can control and drag on an area that you like. So I'm gonna make it that looks like that purple. It's good that we move, no, the other side. Okay, so I'm gonna make it transparent. The transparent node is multiply math. So make it transparent. Actually, I want this to be more purplish. So I add some bit of gain. And much brighter, to be honest. Yeah, no, that's multiply math, more transparent. Oh, the other way around. Okay. So instead of that grading node, you see that I turn that grading node off, and I turn that multiply off. So you see that I've got a nice mask, okay? Instead of adding it on top of the background. So this is very tricky. So I add a grade node on top of the background. This grade node actually is supposed to make all the background purple, let's say. Look, the background turns into some kind of purple. But you can say that go and use a mask, and that mask is this. So it's actually, you just like use color grading methods. So I don't want these points to show up, so I turn the I deactivate. Okay, and so you can mix with the background a bit, yeah, like that. Okay, so that's a nice gain. Okay, I like that. So you see that there's noise on the shadow, isn't it? So it has a very good denoiser, but I don't add it now. Nuke has a very strong denoiser. If some of your shots is noisy, it's one of the best solution out there to denoise it. It's just simply called denoise. It's just a node, you add it and you denoise it. But I will do it later because it just slows down your network very much. So for now, I just okay, I'm gonna animate this color, this glowing thingy. Actually, I'm gonna add a glow as well. That glow should do a lot of work for me. So I'm gonna add glow to the background. You see, the background is so glowy now. But I'm gonna say that this glow is gonna use the same mask. Oh no, here. So you see that the glow happens just around the area where the creature is supposed to show up. Okay, so it's time to animate them. So I'm gonna turn off the glow for now. Just start with this one. Okay, so this one should what you can do, you can grade, it's just simply animate this mix. So you see, like I'll go 0 and here I can say that set key. Here it's like half. You can apply the same keyframes here on the glow as well. Actually, you can connect these. So let's say, so I'm gonna close everything. I'm gonna show you the trick how to connect keyframes. So you see that the keyframes here is what you can do. You can middle click. Oh, actually not middle click. Just click and drag. Oh, what was it? Oh, control click and drag, and you see like bang, you can transfer the keyframes with to the glow. So the glow is connected to the grade. So you see that they are following the same number. So it shows up. And it influences the background. Okay, so this is the time that I want this to be animated. So then you can animate the transform node. Actually, what if I just like go out of the glow, like before it moves, like here. So it would have the same keyframe here. Maybe, okay, and then before moving down, it just vanishes, goes 0 again. Vanishes, and then the gross creature moves towards pole. Anyway, so what I do, okay, I'm gonna do the denoising and then that's the end of it. Okay, so look so you should find the spot that is flat and has the most amount of noise. Okay, you add the denoise node, and the denoise node at the beginning says, okay, you should select the area that the noise is there. If you zoom out, there's a box. Grab that box, move it to where is mostly is like there's most of the noise over there. It's good to be flat. So look at the scene. How clean it turned. Before denoising, after. Before, after. It's a great denoiser, and it's very fast and nice. Okay, so let's render out. So let's say you're happy with the results. I've got the noise, the results. What else we can add? Oh, I like always to add a bit of like effects. So let's like when the creature shows up, let's add like kind of a ray effect. It's called volume rays, and it's good that volume rays. So if I add it, you see that it just adds that like crazy thing in the middle. So I'm gonna add that volume ray. Maybe I add it on top of the. So I Control Shift X and deconnect it and add it on top of all of that. So you see that on? Just adds that cool volume ray, which is. So if you see like this, that start to like show this bandation and stuff, may the ray increase the number of the, so it's gonna be like 50. No, that's the length. There's one sampling somewhere. Quality high. Yeah. So that's a nice ray. Maybe I just go 20 again. Okay. Just want that. Okay. So you see that it's on top of that. So what you can do, you can add that on top of your scene over there. As simple as that. So it's there without, actually with, let me just show you, without, with. See what a nice effect it adds to. So, how to animate that? Actually, this mix is the animation of that. Yeah. So you just animate this mix. So let's say nothing here. Go 0. Right click, set key. The creature shows up 1. And the position, it's good to animate the position of your volume ray as well. So it's, you can animate that. Set key, set key. The position is there at the moment, at the beginning. Then it goes there, so you can animate that. Actually, I don't want that keyframe. I want just one single keyframe here. And here, when it comes down, and the end. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so I'm ready to export it out. So first thing first, let's make a preview, save it. And the preview, I'm gonna make it from frame here, not, so I press, so it has an IO here, so I set that timeline to input output, so from 80 to 151. So you saw the whole pipeline. We tracked the shot inside Nuke. We exported that into Maya. We added the creature, rendered it out, and sent it back to Nuke. We used Nuke the same tracking data for adding like effects and shadows and lights and effects onto your scene in Nuke. Fast and neat and easy. So let's see what the effect would look like. So always make a preview. This is a RAM preview. So if you see that your memory gets full, so just you can go to the cache and clear buffer, and this gets cleared. It just occupies. You see that your memory gets too full now. If you just look at the memory, it just like occupies like 17 gigabytes of memory is just occupied. Shows up. Okay, so I'm happy. Make sure you clear the buffer. You see, it will go. Clear all the disk and clear playback cache. So clear all the caches that you created. Okay. So I'm gonna export that out. It's simple. Just press W. And you remember that I told you to bring your file from DaVinci to Nuke as EXR. Do the same thing the other way around. So you bring it as EXR, you export it as EXR. So make a folder over there. I call it export. Not inside images, but here. Nuke output. So I call that alien shot, let's say. For you, it's shot 5, shot 7, whatever. Alien shot dot padding hashtag 4 hashtag means like 4 padding dot EXR, and the default setting is always great unless you do a specific color space. Go with default for you because we are working linear at the moment. If you have issues with the color, let me know. You should not. So when you press render, it says like the frame range. I want to render not the whole thing because like up to frame 18 nothing happens. So I render from frame 80 to 155, and you press render. And what you get on the hard drive is an image sequence. So here, Nuke output, you get one frame, one file for each frame, and you bring back the output into Resolve for finalizing your editing. That was it.